Hola Bandidos, ¿cómo estamos? Welcome to Mel's Magic Official. I'm Magic Mel. This is Al, my spirit guide. Welcome to episode 17 of season 8. Where have you been, Magic Mel? I know. It's one of those things where I kept on saying, okay, today I'm going to do it. I'm going to get ready. And then I'm not quite ready. Today I'm going to do it and then I'm going to be ready. And then it's not quite ready. And then we just have to say, you know what? Cut through the BS. Press record. You are ready. That goes for you and for me. Stop the procrastination. So here we are. A lot's been going down. To be quite frank, I've been busy, guys. As you may know, I'm not only host of Mel's Magic Official, producer and performer and director and everything. I'm also retreat manager of my place here, Casa Lily, visual artist, coach, and tarot reader. So I'm not really juggling, but let's say channeling, opening these different creative channels and valves according to what is needed in the moment. And lately it's been my art, on which I've been procrastinating a big deal, and I've been easing back into it by doing the artist's way. If you are a blocked creative, whatever creative you are, doesn't matter, I highly recommend you do Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way program. It's a 12-week program that really gets rid of all the resistance and the fears. Fear equals resistance, and gets you flowing again. And that can be applied to so many things. I mean, this being one of them, where I'm like, I better have something smart to say. I can't record until I'm all wise. And I'm like, you know what? Just cut the crap, Magic Mel, and talk about what's really going on. So there's been a lot of good stuff. I'm embodying my higher self, i.e., bringing down to earth the inspiration of my spirit, manifesting things, organizing myself, grounding myself, managing my energy, which is all part and parcel of creating our own universe. The big reminder here is that at the center of that universe is you. You are actually the grande oeuvre, the masterpiece. So if you're burnt out, everything else will suffer. If you're depressed, everything else will suffer. If you're tired, you get the spiel. My lesson these past 2 weeks has also been to really self-reflect, knowing that the 3D, whatever I'm experiencing, whoever I'm encountering, is a projection of my own creation. I self-reflected to the extent that I had to take full accountability. And that is not a comfortable thing to do. To take full accountability of everything that I'm experiencing, the good, the bad, and the ugly, feels uncomfortable. Because it's much easier to blame something or someone out there for whatever misery, for whatever misstep, for whatever is lacking. It's just easier that way. However, my friend's recommendation, she recommended this book. It's a kind of love-hate thing. I mean, try it out, read this one. But basically, it has to do with shadow integration. What I got out of it is that, what we resist persists. So as long as we're pushing against something, that very thing that we fear, that we reject, is going to bite us back in the arse or in the face. Because the universe doesn't work like that. If you push against something, it means you're still giving it energy, you're feeding it with your attention, and it's still there. And it's not just going to be there, it's probably going to grow, because the more you fret about it, the more you zone in on it. So what does that mean in terms of shadow integration and existential kink? It means the way we sabotage ourselves. For example, a week ago, I was tired of swimming. I love the summer sea, I love the sea, but at some point, I get over my own obsessions and I need a switch of energy, something different. So I wanted some different exercise, not the dancing, not the swimming. And then I thought, basketball. I'm an old basketball player. So I discovered the public court and I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. And I went all obsessive, like everyday basketball. At the same time, though, I noticed that as a kind of reward after playing and like super, Turkish baths, sweating and detoxing. I'm like, oh, I could do with a drink now. So I went to my favorite bar, which is actually really cool for a bar. And I had my pisco sour. I love pisco sours. But I observed myself. I'm like, Magic Mel, what are you doing? Why are you at the same time increasing your athletic levels and increasing your drinking at the same time? There's like this part of me that was saying, a shadow aspect. And by shadow meaning it's just not conscious. Shadow doesn't mean dark and evil necessarily. It just means that it's not in my conscious awareness. And remember, our conscious mind is just 4%, if anything, of the whole iceberg of our being. So imagine 96% of you is unconscious, not illuminated by your consciousness. So this certain shadow aspect of mine, which I was not aware of, was like, you're trying to be more healthy? I'm going to balance it out with some alcohol, which then lowered my vibration. Consciously, the next day, I'm like, I feel sore and I feel like, I can't think quite clearly. So I sat with it and I said, Magic Mel, enjoy it. Like, don't tell me that something out of the blue came over you and just hijacked your consciousness and dragged you to the bar. There is an unconscious willing part that wants to be, for example, in the bar and drink the alcohol, knowing that afterwards it's going to lower your vibration. So instead of what I used to do, beat myself up and feel yucky about feeling yucky, I just accepted it. I'm like, alla, what's her name? Carolyn Elliot, loving what I created, loving the hangover, loving the disgusting feeling of, when you had one too many drinks and you just feel gross. Instead of martyring myself, self-flagellating, judging myself, I'm like, well, I might as well sit in it and really feel the disgusting feeling instead of resisting it. That's what she means by getting off on your darkness, like really accepting it. It's only when we really claim and accept what we've created, good or bad, creative or destructive, that we can then make an empowered choice going forward. Because as long as there's resistance, we're fighting against it and we're not in a neutral state to make a new choice. So I really sat with it and had several also social encounters where I was just kind of zoned out. I'm like, Magic Mel, I don't think anyone here really gets you. Okay, not that I haven't, to be honest, met anyone who really can see me deeply, which is, people can only see you as deeply as they've met themselves. And I have still to meet that person. However, I notice that people only see their own projection of themselves onto me, or they only see a certain aspect of me that they're conscious about. And I also thought maybe it's a lot to ask of someone to really see me in my entirety. However, going back to those social situations, I was asking myself, why are you still trying to fit in and belong? Part of me was curious. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be open, and went to this academic meeting of university professors. But it didn't deeply resonate. And again, I self-reflected, why you're still doing that? Why did you go to that party where you kind of maybe sense that you wouldn't fit in or that people wouldn't really see you, get you, and still have a drink and then again have your energy lowered the next day? Is it worth the exchange? Because everything we do in life, it's a give and take for the good or for the bad. Let's say in terms of alcohol, thinking about it, okay, my shadow tells me, well, it mellows you out as a kind of reward. I'm like, is it really? The fact that it takes me twice as long to recuperate my energy the next day, that I'm, in that sense, spending double the time recovering and not doing my projects, is it worth the exchange, the deal here? And today I decided, no, I'm done. It's not worth it anymore. And it's a personal choice. It's just having embraced, going really into the yucky feeling, not resisting anything, said, I manifested this hangover. Same like with the money situation last week, which is interesting. I had like never in my life 1.5 euros in my account. I mean, I'm not saying this to play the victim. It was what it was. But I also said, Magic Mel, we're not resisting this. This was your conscious choice, and we're still putting, instead of fretting about what is not there, what you think is missing, we're going to put our energy into what you want to manifest. And as soon as I accepted the so-called, what my mind labeled as, oh, the failure or the big, like, how could you at your age, be that broke? And I'm like, well, it is what it is now, and I'm going to switch gears and still put my energy in what I love. The minute I did that, literally the following week, which was this week, I manifested money again. It's crazy. But I noticed, like, as long as I was pushing against, as long as I was scared of not having money, the more it seemed to decrease. Crazy. And as soon as I accepted the state of affairs and said, well, what is the worst that could happen? Is it really that bad? Who is saying that anyway? Isn't it your own mind judging again? Or is it someone else's judgment who we don't even care about? Like, ¿qué más da? Like, big deal. Take the emotion out. Take the judgment out of the situation and just roll with it. Then I realized, wow, maybe an unconscious part of me actually got off being broke because it means deep down, ooh, less money, less responsibility. Or the fear of, oh, but if I have money, I might spend it on something really stupid. There's so many fears, unconscious fears that can sabotage us, despite our conscious willingness and wantingness to manifest certain situations. If our unconscious is not on board, you try it. You can do whatever you want. It's not going to manifest because your unconscious mind, 96% of the iceberg, is so much more powerful. It's the seat of where all of our deep core programming, our core beliefs sit. And essentially, our reality is a reflection of our core beliefs about ourselves. Remember that I am consciousness is neutral. I am ... fill in the blanks, could be anything. That's why we can change our self-concept. We can change who we are. We can become somebody different. But what it takes is embodying that different persona that you want to become. Say in my case, I finally went fully on board embodying Magic Mel, the spiritual entrepreneur, Magic Mel, the retreat host, Magic Mel, the painter, all of these things. And I have to ask myself daily, who is this Magic Mel? What does she say? How does she act? Who does she speak to? What does she believe? How does she even walk and talk? It's an embodied experience. If I just think about it and say, well, I want this to happen without actually being that person who is making that reality happen, then it's all fantasy. Again, embodiment, being in our body and looking at the 3D as a mirror. Whatever you have in your current situation, good, positive, or negative, is your own creation. Nothing lies outside of you because you are the projector. 3D reality is the projection. So, who is projecting and what are you projecting, most importantly? What are the thoughts that are playing in your mind? What is the story that you're telling yourself? What are your deep-rooted beliefs about yourself and about other people? Because other people will reflect what you believe about them. So powerful we are. So self-reflection is a must. And I spend a big chunk of my day self-reflecting in meditation, in journaling, and also just being very aware of what comes into my experience and what my feelings are, how I react. And then if it's a strong activated reaction, I question that, like, hey, what is deeper? What is being triggered? Because everything is a thread for self-knowledge. And if we don't really know who we are, what our beliefs are, we cannot change the programming. Because we are a set of programs, like our identity is a set of programming. And if we want to change that core programming, that probably is telling us that we're not good enough, that we're not this enough, then we got to look at these core beliefs. And the core beliefs can be accessed via our triggers, our reactions, and our 3D reality. Because having is evidence of wanting, meaning whatever we have, whatever we're surrounded by, whatever your current situation is evidence of what you deep down want. even if it's a masochistic side of you, because we are not all goody-goody two-shoes. The important part about shadow integration is also realizing, again, that we're not just the 4% of conscious mind, that there is this big, dark unconscious filled with instincts, filled with aggression, filled with primal emotions that go way back, and that we're all connected to, and that we're all infused by, and that we better shed a light on with our awareness. And we can become aware of them by self-reflecting on our triggers, by what we reject, because what we reject, we're secretly judging and rejecting in ourselves. So becoming whole means welcoming the shadow, accepting that there are these deep drives in us, that we can be greedy and jealous and spiteful and violent, that it's not just the other, which is our rejected shadow. Carl Jung also always warned in the 60s before he passed away, he said, if man does not integrate his shadow, destruction will be omnipresent, because the collective shadow can become huge. And we know how that has manifested in history. A collective shadow manifestation. It starts by each individual, you and me, looking at our own shadow, our own triggers, and becoming aware of that and loving the shadow. Because again, there is no light without darkness. If we look at the bigger panorama, from the all, beyond the paradoxes, beyond the duality of good and bad, light and darkness, we need both. The one needs the other to become conscious of the other. So we can only be aware of the light if we've gone through the darkness. There's only joy if you've really suffered and there was pain. So going beyond it, there's no judgment, because both serves its purpose. However, once you become conscious of how your unconscious drives manifest in reality and can affect other people and you, your own suffering, then you can start making conscious choices. I.e., for example, in my case, I'm like, okay, if I have more than 2 drinks, I'm going to feel lousy the next day. I'm going to waste half of the day recovering, raising my vibration again. Is it worth it? I could say, yeah, I'm still going to have those 2 drinks. I'm still going to waste half of my next day. I'm still going to flunk on my projects, but it's a conscious choice. I'm no longer like, yeah, well, I got sidetracked or whatever. No, Magic Mel. We take accountability. Or I can say, well, actually, which I decided today, it's not really worth my energy. What is the payback of that? Okay, having a good time. We've had a lot of good times, and we can find satisfaction now in focusing on our projects, of which in my case I have many. So it's a personal inquiry. But let's start by taking accountability. Sober accountability of our circumstances, the relationships we are surrounded by, how people are treating us, what we have, what we don't have. It's all you creating it. And this is not to diminish systemic oppression, systemic violence. Yes, that is part of the bigger collective darkness, which also, when we stop pretending it's not there, we can deal with it. But let's start with our own shadow first. If we all deal with our own personal shadow, the collective shadow will diminish. And the problem with the collective shadow and our personal shadow, if it's not integrated, it can come from nowhere. It's explosive. It takes just a little spark to create a bushfire or a holocaust or a war. So shadow integration is not for the faint at heart. But I feel it's also highly fascinating, because to really get to know yourself, it's part of the individuation process that Jung talks about, is fascinating. I also walked through the streets yesterday or the day before, whatever, and I was like, I don't even really know anymore who I am. And maybe that's a good thing, because I'm realizing that a lot of who I thought I was just a set of habituated patterns, a set of habituated ways of thinking, believing, and looking at myself and acting out in the world. So first of all, who am I beyond those patterns, beyond that habituated way of being? And then, do I like it, or do I want to try out something new? What is my higher calling? And what does it take every day for me to embody that higher calling? And by higher, I don't mean like better. I just mean, well, it feels better, let's put it that way, because I know when I act from my lower drives, they usually, create some kind of tumultuous suffering. And that's not to judge them again, but it's about evolution and expansion and trying out something new, embodying a different energy, a different frequency. And that is also something that I reflected upon, because I'm like, oh, I don't even know what to talk about in Mel's Magic Official anymore. I'm like, you know what? It doesn't even matter anymore so much what I talk about, but it's the energy I embody. Because you can't fake energy. And you can't rationalize and conceptualize and analyze energy. Energy just is. So I could just be sitting there, or, if you're in whatever vibration you're in, good or bad, down or high, you will impact other people. Because we don't operate in a vacuum. Even if you flunk yourself on some mountain, just sit there and meditate or do whatever you're doing, you're still connected to the collective. So our individual frequency matters. So what are you bringing to the table? And again, that's not coming from a point of judgment. I also thought maybe I should wait till tomorrow until I'm in a higher frequency or feel better. But I'm like, you know what? Just show up, Magic Mel. Like this idea of perfection. If perfection was the universe's wish, we wouldn't even be here, because imperfection gives a chance to evolve, to move, to flow. Perfection equals death, standing still, freezing. So we are divinely perfect in our human imperfection. How about taking the pressure off of ourselves and just showing up? I feel also like we're tired of these fake personas and people who look alike and whatever, pretend to be someone else. How about just being you and showing up as you? I mean, that is a gift to the world. But do you know who you are? Beyond the trauma and the programming, core programming, like in your essence, are you connected to that? And the essence lies is deeply connected with the inner child, which is also linked with the higher self. It's kind of ironic. The universe is funny. It's like, let's see if they can access the higher self via the inner child, which is your essence. So that's what I've been up to. And there's a self-acceptance also that I'm relishing in or basking in, because again, the fact that I no longer judge even my shitty behavior, even my missteps, even my, I did this even though I should know better, even my shadowy, let's play basketball and go to the bar. Like, doesn't make sense. But then again, we're a human being. We're meant to be paradoxes. We're not a full stop. Or, I say something today and tomorrow I do completely the opposite. Crazy is that? Well, it is what it is. And I love it. So the challenge is also to love ourselves, not when we're like picture perfect and ideal and higher self, all embodied. No. How about loving us, especially when we're not the version that we're very proud of? Or when we've done that self-sabotaging behavior. How about really loving us then? That's a different thing. So I've accepted certain parts of myself, and that's okay. Because what this journey is about, after all, is self-love. And is taking full accountability of what you are projecting into the world. Because as you project, you create. And we're projecting one way or the other. Creation or destruction. I mean, although you could argue there's no creation without destruction, yes, but overall there should be like a higher average. Let's say when I was deep in my darkness, I was in destructive mode, for self-destructive and towards other people in my environment. And now, yeah, I'm definitely more constructive. It's more to be rather than not to be, but it's a choice. There's definitely not to be energy out there. There's definitely destructive energy out there. But you have a choice. And the first thing it takes is to realize when you are being self-destructive. Because we can only be really empowered when we claim and don't resist our self-destructive drives or destructive drives. When we see that shadow aspect and say, hey, I see you. I still love you. Now come into the light. Let's do something different. So whether you're conscious of it or not, whether you take accountability for it or not, you are creating something all of the time. And self-love is based on the notion what is in your highest is in the highest of the collective. So it doesn't mean that we isolate ourselves in our narcissistic egocentrism. No, that's not self-love. But it's honoring yourself, your needs, your preferences, your desires, your boundaries, your limits, your heart's wishes. Because all of that comes from the universal heart, the bigger heart. So your mission is to become highly individuated, which at the same time is going to connect you to oneness. It's all a bit paradoxical. And from oneness, you realize, oh, we're actually all connected. But the all connected web only functions when each keynote in this universal symphony is playing. So you have an essential keynote, I have an essential keynote, and it's fine-tuning that, harmonizing that, so we play our given keynote in the right octave. I'm not a musician, but you know what I mean. So that the overall symphony functions. Big, small, whatever shape you are in, whatever nationalities go beyond that, you're meant to take up space in this world. Like, imagine what the universe went through to create you. Go back to your ancestors. Like, how many crazy lineages did it take for you to be here right now in this grand age of transition? Transitioning out of the spiritual dark ages, Kali Yuga, into back to the golden age, finally. So if you're here now, which you are, otherwise you wouldn't be listening, you are a keynote in this transition. Your healing matters, your awakening matters, your heart's desires matters, your being matters, your joy matters. So take yourself seriously. Treat yourself as if you were a precious object or being, because you are. You're the masterpiece. You're the universe's masterpiece. The universe is just hoping that you realize that yourself so you can actually use the gifts that you were given to make a more beautiful and abundant world. Come on, it's pretty easy. Ay, mamma mia, guys, like 28 minutes. Okay, I'm going to pull a little card for you. Vamos. You got to bear with me for 28 minutes. You know what? It's not even bearing with me. I'm a gift to you. How about that? It's true. So, whatever comes out of my mouth is precious. We got to value ourselves more, guys. Honestly. You know, we talk to other people and friends more highly than to ourselves. I mean, that's screwed up. I hope you're doing the mirror work, like in the morning. Hey, I love you. Vamos. One oracle card for you. I know I've missed, I don't know what many full moons, light moons, whatever. But you know, it's not only about that. My channel is not the standard tarot reading channel. It's really about my unfolding journey, my own evolution. I'm sharing it with you. Wow. And here and there I pull some cards. So this is for you. Dear beautiful oracle, dear Asga team, thank you so much for always watching over us, for watching over you. Are you connecting with your spirit team? They're probably like banging their heads like, oh my God, is he, she, they listening? Are they calling us? They're not calling us. You gotta connect with them. They will guide you. Know that you're guided. Know that you're fully supported. Just open yourself up for that guidance. Yeah. Ask and you shall receive. So this is for you. Thank you, dear angels, spirit guides, ancestors, gods, goddesses, Asgard team. Please, a message for, wow, that was fast. A message for you who's sitting at the other end of the screen. Out came to be fair in reverse. And isn't that crazy, the color symmetry again? So to be fair, you see a little it's like a statue, or I think it's a female statue with, if you look very carefully, there's a face here, which is always in this deck, this face of spirit. It's a face of spirit here. And she is holding like judgment in the tarot, the scales, the balance, and there's an owl on top of her head. And in her scale, there's on one side an egg, and the other side a Chinese fortune cookie biscuit. I love the surrealism of this deck. So, to be fair, but in the reverse, which is also the title of the book. Vamos a ver. Why is it in the reverse? Has something not been fair for you? Vamos a ver. Okay, essential meanings. Balance, justice, a need to consider options, mutual benefit, the law of cause and effect. So let's spring directly to the reverse message. Protection message. Injustice and inequity are part of life, but they do not have to define your experience. This is a time when you may observe an injustice righted and fairly redressed. Perhaps you come to the rescue of someone else or are called to answer for a personal slight. You will be amazed by the sense of power that surges through you when you stand up for yourself and others. This card also indicates a good time to advocate for others who are less fortunate. Choose your cause and commit to it because you can make a difference. One thing is for certain. If fairness is your intention, the situation will be resolved for the highest good of all concerned through acts of kindness, empathy, and courage. So, have you been waiting for some justice to be served, or are you being called to stand up for something? You tell me, guys, how does this resonate with you? You know, sometimes also we judge a certain situation as being unjust, and then later on we realize, wow, that was actually an opportunity for ourselves to grow. So, you know, this whole notion of black, white, good, bad, fair, not fair can be reversed. And usually only in hindsight, with some perspective, after having gone through a whole journey of transformation and learning lessons. So don't be too quick to judge. It's my 2 cents. Okay? So how's that for a little catch up on August 30th? We've got the super moon coming on the 31st. I'm hosting another gathering, though I've publicized it too late maybe. Let's see if anyone comes. If not, I'm going to do it on my own. Second super full moon in August, and I'm welcoming September. We've got 4 more months to go in this beautiful 2023. So let's take stock where we are. Let's be grateful for how far we've come, and let's be intentional with the 4 months coming forward. Again, set your intentions, set your goals, and then ask yourself, who do I need to be to manifest, to bring to life that desired life? Because you are the vehicle of manifestation. And without acting and embodying the values and the actions, the aligned action, then nothing happens. I mean, as I said, miracles do happen. I'm not saying that, but we are the manifesting co-creator with the universe. So our actions speak louder than our words. How's that for a little Magic Mel's wisdom? So, Al and I've got your back. I hope you're doing well, guys, and I shall be more consistent. Especially, I feel good because I've gotten over my procrastination. Just act, see? Just get out of your head and just act again, and the ball goes rolling, gets rolling again. But as I said, I'm working on different projects, guys, so it's all a matter of balance and, yeah. And what do you call it? Pacing ourselves. Because we're in it for the long run. We're in it for the long run. So if you want some coaching, tarot readings, hit me up, guys. Details are in the description box below. And I'll see you super soon for episode 18 coming. Mañana o ya veremos. Venga, espero que estés bien por ahí. Ciao.